Hey everybody, JR from JrZ CarZ. Today, we're going to be working on the edge again because it's broken down again. And honestly, I got to get rid of it. I got to get it out of here. There's too many things that I'm looking at doing with the channel that are going to be bringing more stuff here. So I got to get rid of some things, and that seems to be the boat anchor at this point. If you haven't already checked it out, I'll link it up above, and I'll link them down in the description below of what happened with the edge. Basically, the water pump ended up going. It took all the coolant, dumped it into the oil. I spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in some very warm weather to to fix it, and it was working fine for probably about a month and a half, something like that. I think I put about 1,000 miles on it, and all of a sudden, just one day, driving home from picking up some Chinese food, it started knocking. Best case scenario would be the timing tensioner went bad, and it's the timing chain that's kind of knocking around in there a little bit, but knowing my luck, it's probably not that. So let's go take a look at it, drop the oil, see what's in it, and see if we find some little nuggets in there. So what I'm hoping is, if there is anything in the engine, when I go to pull that drain plug out, it's all going to come out of the drain plug there, because it was on this angle for a while now. And then what I also did was I took one of these metal chafing dishes and I wrapped a white shirt, an old white shirt that I had on top of it, because I want to see what's going to come out, and hopefully that'll capture it. And then if there's any chunks or anything like that, I'll be able to see it a little bit better. And then on top of it, all the little sparklies that come out of it too. I don't know, what do you think? Drop your comments below. What are we going to find in this? Doesn't really look too bad. Not really seeing sparkles. Maybe that's a good sign? Oh wait, no, there we go. Now you're seeing the sparkles. And now it looks like it's changing colors. Yeah, you can see the sparkles right in there. Yeah, that's definitely not a good sign. Crap. Alrighty, so I took the oil out. I took the cut the shirt that I had here, just so I could see what was in there. And there's definite chunkage here, like you could see. There's a nice chunk of bearing right there, but there's all a couple little sparkles in here too of bearing, like you could see that in there, and there's a couple speckles over there. I mean, it's really, obviously that's bad because it's bearing material, but it's not as bad as I expected it to be. I don't know. It's there's a possibility that we could drop the oil pan on this, inspect the rod bearings, see if they did any damage to the crank, and see what happened. But at the same point in time, if this was run through the oiling system, it's got to be all through the engine at this point. Next step is going to be to drop the oil filter, and then I'm going to cut the oil filter open and take a look at what was trapped inside of there and go from there. Because honestly, at this point, I'm looking at this engine as being shot. I've already had this happen with the Sonata, and if you haven't checked that engine video out, or the series that I had, because I had a couple videos on that, I'll link those down in the description below as well. You could take a look at those and see how bad that one really was. I really don't want to go down that route again, just to have a engine not functions. So at this point, we'll take the oil filter off, we'll crack it open, we'll see what's in there. We moved all the oil from that pan into the jug here. And if you look, you can see where the level is. About 5 quarts of oil in there, which is right for the engine. So it's not like it was oil starved, which would have caused this issue too. All right, so here, this was complete butchery to get the oil filter apart. I don't have the right tool to remove it the proper way, so I cut it out. But when I got it out, if you're looking here, you can see all this junk. Now I let this kind of drain out a little bit in this pan, so all the oil would kind of settle down here, and then all the crap would settle in here, and you can see all these bits of metal. This is all just granules of bearing material. You could see it here. It's so gritty. It's just so bad. It's so gritty. Like, everything is gritty. When I had taken the filter apart, it was all just gritty, and you could see all the glitter in it, and all the glitter that you're seeing is all the copper bearing material. And if you look in there, you can see on the gate, see that little shiny bit right there? That's a nice big chunk of bearing. And even just the filter media, I could touch it, and it just feels like it's sandpaper. It's just completely filled with junk. You could see it. So what I want to do at this point is I want to cut this out. I'm going to lay out the filter media, and then we'll take a better look at the filter media to see what it looks like. All right, so now I got the filter media cut away. These are the caps that it's bound around. You have to cut these off because that's what keeps it in the circle. All right, same thing with this one. One's the top, one's the bottom. You have the gate that's out of the center. This is the outer part of the filter, and then this is the inner part of the filter. Now, the inner part of the filter doesn't look bad all that much, but the outer part of the filter, oh man, look at this. So this whole thing, all the way down, you could see glitter bits like that, the chunks, the whole thing. And if I get a section here, let's see another chunk right there. But if I pull it straight, you could really see what's going on. See all that stuff that's in here? It's almost like sand. It feels like sand in here. It's just junk. And then you could see all the bits of metal in there and junk. So look at that. You could see if I pull it away, you can kind of see it on my finger here. That's all the crap that's been running around in this engine. Now I'm wondering if these bearings were just crap because of the water that got into it, and maybe it rusted out a little bit in the middle, and these are little flecks of rust that were scrubbed off when I was driving, and it was just, all in due time. But that really tells you a lot about what's been floating around in this engine. And again, if you look at the back side of it, it doesn't look too bad. Right, there's a couple flakes here and there, but on this side, it doesn't feel like it does on this side, where it's all this junk. This side really isn't that bad. But what I really want to do at this point, I see all this crap that's been floating around in the engine. I want to take the front valve cover off, and I want to take a look and see how much of all this glittery crap got in the top end of the engine, and I want to pull at least one or two of the cam caps to see how the cams look if they were wasted too, because if they're wasted, all this crap has been gone. It's been going up into the top of the engine, and if those cam caps are wasted, this engine is done for. Okay, so now that that is off, gives me a little bit of better idea of what's going on in here. Chain feels to be good. If you remember, when I had this happen with the Hyundai Sonata that I had, there was all kinds of glitter that was up at the top end too. So it was really, really bad. There was a lot of glitter up in the top here. When you get your finger down in there and kind of give it a rub, you can see that there is glitter pieces. Yep, see that nice little chunk right there. See that little chunk right there? So there is some stuff in the top end here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you back down again. I'm going to pull this cam cap, and probably this cam cap too. Pull these two, and I want to take a look at what they look like if they're all chewed up on the inside. Well, as you can see, because these don't have bearings that they ride on, they're just the aluminum caps. The cam rides in the aluminum cap here, and you could see all that scoring that's in there. And if you could run your finger across it, it feels like a piece of sandpaper. Jeez. Yeah, that metal's been riding in there, and that definitely did some damage. That feels like a piece of sandpaper. That is not repairable. But just for giggles here, let's take a look and see what that one looks like too. Oh yeah, take a look at that. Actually, you can see it right here. Look at that. I'll use this to... Look at that chunk right in there. You can see how it's ground in there. That's not even coming out if I try to wipe it. That's ground into the cam cap here. And again, just like the other one, it feels like a piece of sandpaper when you run your finger across it. It's definitely not smooth. So if you take a look here, you can see all the scoring that's in there too. And just like the cap itself, they have pretty significant grooves in them, and they're not smooth anymore. That's the bottom, and here's the top one. This one's pretty much the same. That one is a little bit deeper. The grooves in this are actually a little bit deeper than in the other one. But if the top cap looks like that, the lower half of this is more than likely going to look the same way, and that's the head itself. So that's a lot of damage. So unfortunately, this is where I stand with the Edge. The way I'm seeing it, the engine has to be replaced because, as you saw, the cam caps and the cams themselves have significant scoring, and it's not recoverable. You can't just grind that down, get an oversized bearing, put it in there, and have everything work again. The cams rest in the head itself, so any scoring that you saw on that top cap, you're guaranteed to see in the actual head itself, and you can't grind that out. So I was figuring that I was going to just take a look at that, see what it is, and then open up the bottom end, see what really went wrong with this. But at this point, I already know it needs a replacement, so it's not even worth the time or effort now. So my question to you is, what would you do at this point? I don't need the car. It's an additional car right now. I wanted to bring more to the channel, and by me bringing more to the channel, I need something that I'm going to be able to tow with, tow a trailer, things like that. And I also have a family, so having 3 rows of seats is a definite plus. Now, definitely I can't use my Odyssey because there's no way that that's going to be able to tow what I want to be able to tow. And this was not it either. So what would you do? Would you replace the engine, sell it off? Or would you just try to dump it the way that it is and say that, maybe somebody else has an engine, they can worry about it and fix it? Or would you part this thing out? It's got a good transmission, got a good all-wheel drive unit. Everything on the car is good except for the engine. So drop your comments down below. Let me know what you would do. I hope everybody's staying safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next video. where we start working on the Mercury, because it's almost car show season, and I want to be able to get to a car show or two this year with it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel to keep up on everything that's going on. And you could catch us on Facebook and on Instagram as well.